like a Hellcat.
So, as the second part to this series, we are going to be looking at the Pulse Carbine and how what I think its problems are and how I think they could be solved. Now, the biggest thing I will have to say before this video starts, I think my opinion falls the same that other people do. This weapon really shouldn't exist as a replacement slash in between for the carbine and the plasma slash storm rifles of previous Halo games. I personally feel the carbine should still have a place in the game. I don't feel that the Stalker rifle is a really good spiritual successor to it. I feel like that goes too much in the direction of the DMR. I feel like this goes much into the direction of just being a sucky weapon. I'll explain why. So, the plasma rifle in other Halo games has been a shield shredder and has had a relatively high spread to the weapon that the storm rifle actually solved quite well. And actually they did buff this recently to give headshot damage. I forgot about that. So that's a thing. I'm not sure if anyone else knew about that. I didn't until just now. I'm just gonna finish this. But the storm rifle actually kind of solved the issue that the previous plasma rifles had, is that it wasn't being forced to rival. That's a really low score. It wasn't being forced to rival with any of the other weapons and just being objectively worse, because it actually had its own merit. It was a relatively precise, probably had about the same spread as the assault rifle, which is the weapon it was supposed to be competing with. Slower projectiles, of course, but still about the same spread and more damage to shields as plasma weapons have usually always done. However, I believe the reason that the storm rifle failed in previous Halo games is because it was competing, specifically in Halo 4, with a bunch of superior precision weapons like the battle rifle and the carbine and the DMR, which is definitely means that the storm rifle is a victim of the custom loadouts of Halo 4. And then, of course, it was mostly ignored in Halo 5 because I think it was toned down to actually be worse in Halo 5 for whatever reason. But that's neither here nor there. But I feel like the Pulse Carbine isn't an upgrade from that. I feel like the Pulse Carbine is actually definitely a huge downgrade. Once again, like I said, it's trying to fill the role of both the carbine and the plasma rifle, storm rifle of previous Halo games, and kind of fails at it. And in my opinion, the main reason it fails at that is because, well, one, they turn it into a burst weapon, trying to slot it also into the spot of the DMR, but its projectiles move way too slow for the role that it's supposed to. It's supposed to be a shield stripper, but you realistically cannot use it as a shield stripper unless you are relatively close. It just simply doesn't do the damage that it definitely should. See, the projectiles, they're slow, and the magnetism that they're supposed to have that's supposed to help increase their accuracy is almost non-existent as well. So you run into situations where you just simply can't hit a shot because people are able to, at a good medium range, able to side strip. You can usually hit shots if people aren't moving, if you attack them from the side or not, but he was just by walking, dodging those shots that I was even firing at a lead. And I feel like that's just really, that is the first problem and the easiest problem to solve. And it's just by increasing the projectile speed. You don't have to really change anything else about the weapon if you increase the projectile speed. You don't have to increase its magnetism. You don't have to increase its damage. You don't even have to decrease the amount of overheat that it gives per shot. All you literally have to do is just increase its projectile speed. But if we want to further tweak it to feel more like either the storm rifle or the carbine, which I think the storm rifle will probably be a better direction to take it in if we do ever want to get the legitimate carbine back, the legitimate, maybe very fast projectile. I'm not really sure how it's been handled in previous Halo games. I'm just gonna get a regular carbine back. The first suggestion I would say, and it might come at the cost of maybe giving it more spread but faster projectiles, and less damage, is give it a higher rate of fire. I don't like the fact that it's a burst weapon. I don't think anyone really likes the fact that it's a burst weapon, especially with the fact of how slow the projectiles are. because it feels like you're just wasting ammo, because you can't just spray on people. Because honestly, if I could just spray on people with it, I could just do that or something like that. Since it's not gonna have good magnetism, I could at least do the damage. So honestly, my personal suggestion for the Pulse Carbine, it's one really simple way to push it into its own defined sandbox slot, is just increase its projectile speed. You don't need to increase its magnetism, you don't need to increase its damage, you don't need to increase its rate of fire if you just give it better magnetism. And this will make the Pulse Carbine its own weapon that actually feels good. My second suggestion is to turn it into the Storm Rifle 2.0. And that would be to increase its rate of fire, decrease its damage, maybe increase its spread, and perhaps leave its projectile speed alone. If it takes longer to overheat, has a faster rate of fire, and then less damage, without any other changes, it is a storm rifle with slower projectiles. And that might be a route that they want to take it, because I do think the fact that we don't have a legitimate, like, plasma rifle in the game, we have the Pulse Carbine, which is just objectively viewed as one of the worst weapons in the game. We're lacking a sandbox slot in trade for something that really doesn't fill its own slot either, so it just kind of sucks. Now, I do feel that personally its damage is perfectly fine. That's why I would personally prefer the first suggestion, so we still do actually have a chance of getting something like the Carbine and the Storm Rifle in the game. Its damage is perfect. Most of it is perfect. Like I said, outside of the projectile speed. It doesn't suffer from the same problems that like the Commando does, where it just doesn't feel like it does enough damage to fill its role, because it does plenty of damage. If you're landing your shots, you're gonna strip their shields and land one final burst. Actually, I think when you strip shields, landing a single shot on their head or through each of their body is what kills them. But it just doesn't do that because you can't hit your shots in the first place. And that's its biggest downfall, is you just can't hit your shots in the first place. You have to be so close. You either literally have to be like that on them, or have the perfect range, which I believe is about from here to that bush right there, and hope they're not aggressively side strafing. So, like I said, it should be a really easy way of fixing the weapon. Just increase its projectile speed. I think that will, just in my honest opinion, just increasing its projectile speed is probably my most ideal way to fix the weapon. And I think it's what most people would like, because most of their issues is they can't hit their shots because it just simply doesn't track well and the projectiles are slow. And I think because the issues are about the same, I feel like we can go ahead and talk about the I'm going to go ahead and give myself the plasma pistol here. I think we can go and talk about the plasma pistol in this video, since the problems and the solutions are very similar. Because the plasma pistol doesn't feel great either. Especially the fact that it doesn't EMP vehicles. That's another thing. My ideal rework, give it back the ability to strip vehicles and give it better tracking. Because their issue is you just can't land shots because of the mix of the projectile speed and the tracking. Like, literally, that guy wasn't moving until the last second and it still missed. And that landed. But after you've done that, it doesn't do enough damage. So my ideal change for the plasma pistol would be to increase its tracking instead of increasing its projectile speed, because personally, its projectile speed is fine. Like, it actually has a great projectile speed. Increase its tracking and maybe ever so slightly increase its damage. And that would give the default Covenant loadout, Pulse Carbine and Plasma Pistol, great balance. Increase projectile speed of the Carbine and maybe change how much ammo it uses per shot, or how much overheat it causes per shot, so you can just fire more shots without having to stop. And then Plasma Pistol, increase tracking and magnetism, I guess, and then increase damage of this shot. Its charge damage is fine. Well, I shouldn't have to overheat the weapon just to kill somebody. But that's about the changes that I think would be good for the Pulse Carbine and then the Plasma Pistol by extension, because my issue with them is the same, but the solution is a little different. What do you guys think? Do you have any other suggestions? Would you guys like to see the Pulse Carbine just turned into the Storm Rifle and the Plasma Pistol fixed? Or would you like to see the Pulse Rifle put into its own slot in the sandbox, so we still have a chance of seeing the Carbine and the Plasma rifle style weapon. Let me know your opinions in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Same thing as the last time. I might compile y'all's suggestions into a finalized take on how to rebalance the weapons and maybe try it out in custom games somehow. Not really sure how I do that, but I'll find a way. So yeah, do that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. This is EmeraldAvengerG. Have a nice day. Oh shoot, stay safe. I'm dead. Peace out.